name is Roctavia, and
Yes.
I am the U.S. correspondent for Rock News UK, and I'm here with Patrick Stone of Budderside. So
Yeah.
I'm really honored to be able to sit here and have a chat with you today. You have so much rock clout. I'm excited for our combo. And you actually just noticed in that, I don't know if you guys can see in the background, it might be kind of dark back there. Patrick noticed that I played the drums.
Yeah. And she plays other instruments too. I think I should be interviewing you, actually. Look at you. You look like a rock star, you know?
Thank you.
Like, yeah, you got the drum set. I'm here like with pine cones and like,
Yeah, I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, like music has always been super important. I think it had to do with my mom. She always she would play a lot of Pink Floyd, and she would play classical music and put like the headphones on her tummy when I was baking. So it's all her.
That's so cool. Pink Floyd is like one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. To walk through, I grew up in the redwood trees up like a big basin up there in Saratoga, California, and we would do I would sit my friends, all of us growing up, I'm sure you've done the same. We would venture into like psychedelics and stuff like that. We'd get crazy, but I'd often ditch the parties and just I had a Walkman back then, but I would put on Pink Floyd and walk through the rain in the forest and just like be by myself and just trip on that stuff and just learn so much about spirituality and like music just by listening to Pink Floyd. They're like huge educators for everything in life.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, I can really relate to you because I'm more of a natural kind of soul, like an old soul, natural kind of spirit. Like whenever I'm near water or I'm outdoors or in the forest, or it's an otherworldly kind of experience. So
yeah.
Same way.
I get that feeling from you. I feel like I'm outside next to a stream right now, for sure. No joke.
Definitely a moon child. Definitely a moon child.
Yeah.
So there's a lot I want to cover. I think I only set us up for a half hour. I don't think there's going to be enough time. But something that I found super interesting, one of my most favorite people in the world who's no longer with us, Lemmy, you had kind of a connection with Lemmy. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Sometimes I get scared that I step too deep, but I like to be an open book and I like to tell it like it is. And Lemmy was the same way, but I was doing a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't, but at the same time, I got my education, my spiritual education on the street, doing a lot of things that you grew up being told that you shouldn't do, drugs and stuff like that. But let's try to stay. Let's try to answer the question. But basically, I started hanging out with those guys due to our mutual love for staying awake for days at a time. Let's put it that way. But more importantly, I started dating a girl that was like the sixth wheel or the fifth wheel of Motorhead. Basically, she was like their camera girl, and she was just in really tight with them, and we fell in love. And then she felt open enough to introduce me to those guys. And before I know it, I was kind of going over there for this and that, and they were coming over to our place, and we'd end up staying up for nights at a time, days at a time, just playing music back there in my studio. And then Lemmy kind of one day pulled me aside, and I think it felt like he was testing me. This was, in my mind, this was how it all went down. He has all this Nazi memorabilia, he has all of these. He wasn't, he didn't support, the Nazis at all, but he just had this fascination with the memory.
A lot of the stuff. Yeah.
He was a collector, so he'd get these pieces all the time, and his apartment was just covered in this stuff, and we'd sit there looking at that, talking about that for forever. And I'm German, and I'd expressed to him that I was a jeweler, and I knew my way around, fixing jewelry up, and all of that kind of stuff. So one day he kind of handed me, it looked like 4 or 5 dirt clods, it looked like mud that he was handing me. And he just said, "Can you clean these up for me?" And there were a few friends that were with me, and they were like, "Oh, what is that?" And we were all tweakers back then. So everybody seemed to be really watching really closely, waiting for me to just put one down, and stuff got stolen around me all the time back then. That's just how it was. So I was super protective of this stuff. So I took it home and I locked myself in the room and I got out my jewelry, you know, my spin wheels and my everything I had, all my tools and stuff. And I started scraping away and cleaning this stuff really carefully. And underneath these dirt clods were pieces of authentic bayonets from World War II. So there were like these eagles and this gold and brass pieces of, you know, really expensive stuff, collector stuff. So I shined him up really good. I brought him back to Lemmy. I handed him every piece that he'd given to me, and he was just so impressed that he invited me to stay that evening. I think he cooked for me some noodles and some meatballs and stuff, and we proceeded to like go through every single guitar he had in his apartment. I mean, he had case after case after case. I mean, it was literally a museum. But I don't know if it was probably a week later. I don't know if I slept at all, but I think about a week later I finally went home. But after that, we were just like, you know, he would call and check in on me. I'd call and see what he was up to. We just became friends, really. And Phil Campbell too. He would stop in at my house all the time. Again, they were all super close with my girlfriend Marie at the time. So we were just around each other all the time. I was just suddenly in this clique, you know. And I see a lot of people wanting to be in the clique and trying to get into the clique, and they were just, you know, pushed away. So it felt pretty special to get so close to these guys. But I never really felt like that's what was cool about Lem and all of those guys. They were just so genuine. It never felt like they were rock stars, or they were, you know, there was just no ego. They were just so, it was just like these genuine people that wanted to get to know you for who you were, you know. And then lo and behold, one day Phil was on the phone and his roadie couldn't make it from overseas. So, you know, he hung up the phone saying, "Damn, I don't have a roadie." And I was like, "Yeah, you do. I'm going." And he was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's go." So that set off that journey. So yeah, that's how the whole thing got started.
Awesome. Like, yeah. To be on a fly on the wall for all of that would have been amazing. I don't know. Motorhead is another band that kind of shaped my love for rock and roll, and I feel like a lot of people in the generations coming up as well, who are kind of grounded in rock. There's just something really special about Motorhead that stuck out, that was unique. And it doesn't surprise me, your description of that crew and all those guys doesn't surprise me at all. That's wonderful. Yeah. It's so good to hear.
Yes, so much fun too. You know, if you're around people like that, it's just you just get straight to the good times, the laughs, the jokes. That's really the main thing that happens around those guys. It's just like everybody's constantly trying to outdo one another with being funny, you know, which is I that's what I've always loved about being in a band, is that like other musicians that, you know, get it, like you just crack each other up all the time. You know what I mean? You're always constantly keeping each other laughing, and that keeps you from, I guess, focusing on broken hearts and everything else that comes along with life. So again, yeah.
Oh, there was another question that I had. Can you elaborate? You have some connections with, is it Velvet Revolver? Can you tell us more about that? Another one of my loves.
Yes. It never quite got to as much as I wanted from that experience. Again, let me kick that door down. The first time, actually, one of my I had these girls I used to hang out were always kind of like the brat pack that went along with Guns N' Roses back in the day. These girls were, you know, they were in the studio with them. In fact, one of them, my friend Adriana, the Rocket Queen, that song is actually written about her. She was giving Axl a blowjob while he was singing that track. And if you listen during the breakdown of that song, you can hear her squealing while he's fucking her. And she's proud of that. And I love her for that. And she's just amazing. But her and Gabby and all of those girls that used to run with the Guns N' Roses guys were part of my clique as well. They would come to the house too, the same house that Lemmy would come to. Everybody had one purpose, and that was to party way harder than, I don't see anybody in Hollywood anymore partying like we did back then. I mean, it was just off the fucking chain, like ridiculous. Like we were all going insane. And that's why I had to quit eventually, because I was going to die or end up in jail. And that's where all of us were going, and a lot of us died. A lot of us ended up in jail, and the ones that are still hanging on, some of us are batshit crazy. And if you give me long enough, you'll find out that I'm batshit crazy too. But these girls were nothing but pure heart, and they always were trying to help me out, and they always believed in me. And Gabby was the one that I got on the phone Slash and try to get me in. The first time they were looking for a singer before Scott. So she gets me on the phone with Slash, and I was so gacked out. I remember Slash going, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, and I just like was a total retard. And he was off the phone in like 20 seconds, and I just knew that I'd blown that opportunity. In my mind, I kind of kept like, I don't know. In my mind, I kind of kept his attention a few times, but I probably really didn't. But come time that Scott had left the group and they were looking for a new singer, Lemmy literally called Slash and said, "I've got your new singer. He's this badass sober dude, and he, you should give him a call." So lo and behold, I did get a call actually from Matt Sorum, and he said that they were going to send me some songs and record some stuff. So I recorded a few. I was working at the strip club at the time, and I took the demos that they sent and I set up this studio there. And as soon as all the strippers would leave, I'd set up all of this gear, and then I would crank it through their PA. And I was like literally on the stripper stage near these poles night after night for about 3 or 4 nights, just singing my heart out, writing as hard as I could, trying to speak my truth, just trying to impress these dudes. And then I submitted some stuff to them, and they liked it enough that we went to like round 2. They sent me some more songs. And for me, it was like, that's all I could think about the whole time that thing was going down. I was so super excited about the whole thing. And Slash actually came out and joined my band Aces and Eights at the Viper Room one night. And super surprised. It was the first time that Steven and Slash had been in the same room since the big Guns N' Roses breakup. And Steven got up and jumped up when we did Mama Kin and It's So Easy. And the fucking place just went off the freaking chain that night. The place just blew up. There were people literally like for a block, outside. They were blocking traffic because people were just trying to get in. It was just such an epic event, but it really felt like that was going to blow up and do something. And then, Duff went off to do Loaded. Slash, all of a sudden I hear, was coming out with this thing with Miles and all of these superstars, Ozzy Osbourne, Chris Cornell. He was putting out this record and he was going to tour that. So that thing just fizzled out really quick. But Matt just posted and commented on some things I posted the other day. I haven't talked to him in a while, but Matt was actually, God, what a great guy. Sorum, when Lemmy was trying to come back and rehabilitate himself after he had basically his meltdown, he couldn't play anymore. And Matt invited us over. Matt and Lemmy's son Paul and I would go over to Matt's place. And the first day Lemmy couldn't get through a song, but then Matt would have him back and we'd just sit patiently and work. And then I think the second time we went over there, Lemmy got through a couple of songs. And then within a few weeks, we had Lemmy playing enough that they started touring again. So again, super great bunch of guys. Ran into, just what a magical thing too. I mean, like my whole life is like, I have to pinch myself all the time. Like, I can't believe how it's just insane to me. And I can't, sometimes I'm looking at people and I'll start to, it's only in interviews like this because it's like, it's got a purpose, but like I'll sit at parties or I'll go out with people and they start talking about all this stuff that they've got going on. And like, I listen and I think it's great, but then it's like, I go to open my mouth about the things I've got to say and the things I've been through and the experiences I've had. And I just bite my lip because I'm just like, nobody's going to believe this shit. Like, I'm just not even to talk, you know what I mean? And then a Facebook memory will pop up when I'm standing on stage with like Slash and Steven Hather in the same performance. And like, I'm just like, oh yeah, that really happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said before, what I wouldn't give to have been there. So
let's get you there on the stuff going forward. We got a big bright future with this group. You got to come out on the road with us. If you're in the UK.
Right now I am actually in the US. I have a connection over there. My partner is over there in the UK. So like, he's the other half of like he puts everything up and he edits everything, and he's the one that like makes sure the page looks good, and then I am the one that does the content and all that stuff. So my co-writer, my business partner.
Where are you from? You sound very American.
I am in Chicago right now.
Oh, sweet. Our drummer Jeff Dubray is from Chicago, and one of my favorite people in the world, Chip Snuff, is in Chicago.
Yeah. It's other than Nashville, it's about as Music City as you can get here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So it's I would really love to either be in Nashville or California, but beggars can't be choosers. I kind of, this is my home base, so we'll see. There's
Yeah.
lots of possibilities for the future. We'll see where I land. It may not even be in the U.S. Who knows?
Um, Carla Harvey from the Butcher Babies is out there now in Chicago. She moved out there with Charlie, the drummer from Anthrax. They live together out there, and they do all these art exhibits. So if you're in Chicago, you need to look her up. She's are you
Oh yeah,
familiar?
I'm artsy. I'm whatever, anything creative. Anything creative I can get my claws in, I'll take to it like a duck takes to water. I love anything that lets you explore your mind, your creative side. It's after my own heart.
Yeah, they're both actually. They're really talented. Both of them artists. So they have these. They're doing galleries and stuff like that. But Carla just she guested on one of the songs off of our new record, and we have a video coming out on Friday with her in it. So you've got to check that one out. It's called Amber Alert.
I will definitely do that. Maybe we can feature it. Hopefully we can get everything edited quickly enough so that we can maybe feature it in the article that I write up for this.
Boom.
And also, there's another question I have for you. Oh, you were talking about being sober. I have a couple friends that are straight edge. So that's something that, is meaningful to me as well. I support them in everything that they're doing in life. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think it's the most beautiful thing that I mean, that's really the story of my life. It's kind of the tragedy. Like I think I had everything going for me. I think I could have done everything that I wanted to do. That actually seems to be happening. Like it's all kind of happening now. But like you think you're going to move to Hollywood and become this star, like at 20 years old, or I was 17 when I came here. But I was already addicted to drugs. I had, my family had gone through an impossible to recover from. My sister had committed suicide, and we there was a bankruptcy and then a divorce, and then that led me to drugs and trying to be a drug dealer and getting arrested and kicked out of the state of California. And then that wasn't enough to, shake me up, to fix me. So I kept going down that path, and the spiral went on for years and years and years and years. And I became a hardcore heroin addict, crystal meth, and every drug there was. I literally had all of it on me all of the time, and I would just use that to go from one high to the next and hurt that one person after the next, my family, everything. I was on a collision course with the other side for sure. And I think I'm almost 6'3", like 6'2", and I think I was about 128 to 132 pounds at the end of it all. I was slamming dope about 6 times a day. And then the universe and God shined down on me and reached out his hand, and through the weirdest of circumstances, through the weirdest of, he almost took my father from me. My father and I weren't very close. We were, but there was just so much pain, I'd failed him, and we had a falling out and hadn't spoken for years. Same with my mother. Like I just basically put my whole family, to the side and just didn't communicate with them. I didn't want to let them know how bad it was. It's just better to be distant and not talk to them at all. And I didn't want them to know the truth. But I literally had the needle in my arm. I think I was ready to do the worst of damage. That I was trying to die, basically. I'd lost everything I had, all of my music equipment. I was homeless. And I had the needle in my arm ready to just douse myself with the biggest hit I'd ever had. I think I was going to die. I was probably going to die. Lo and behold, the phone rings, and it was my father's neighbor. He had walked over to see my father to return some Tupperware he had loaned him, just random. And he found my father having a heart attack on the floor. And my phone number was up on a list of names, family names and numbers, emergency contacts on the computer. And he called me. He says, "Do you want to talk to your dad? He's having a heart attack." And I kind of had this tunnel vision. And that was enough clarity to get me up there next to his side and start begging God and praying to God for forgiveness and to just hold on to my father. Don't let him die. I need to rebuild this relationship that should have been more important to me my whole life. And kind of realized in that very moment what life was really about and what I'd let go of and what should have been important the whole time. And if I was just given one more chance, that I would do everything I could to redeem all. And it took some praying and it took some kicking the drugs. I would go back to my father's house every night. The neighbor drove me back the first night. I got the keys to my father's van, and my dad's Doberman was with me 110% of the time, licking my face. And I would get sick and kick the drugs. And as soon as I felt good enough, I would drive back to the hospital and I would hold my dad's hand. And a great deal of time later, my father finally kind of came out of it. He squeezed my hand finally. And then he came back. He didn't know who I was for a few days. He had some kind of memory. They had to do brain surgery on him and open up his head because he had a stroke after the heart attack. But I prayed and prayed that he would save him. And lo and behold, about 2.5 months later, he was back to sort of normal. And then that gave me kind of enough right to like leave him on his own. And that was the miracle. I mean, my prayers had been answered, and I've kept my promise ever since to never fuck around again. You know, so I haven't touched drugs or alcohol or anything ever since. I think the night there, I drank 3 bottles of vodka to get myself to sleep. And that was it. So January 6th, 2016, I got sober, and that was it. And since then, I mean, the whole world has just opened up to every possibility I could never have imagined. And being sober, I don't miss a single thing. You know what I mean? You can't get anything past me. I mean, if there's an opportunity to make a dime, I grab it. If there's one to make thousands, I grab it. If there's an opportunity, anything to get ahead, you know, or help others, it's like I see it, I'm aware of it, and I can cling on to it because I'm not obstructed by any demons anymore.
I have to give you a huge congratulations, because I've been by a couple people's side through those journeys, and I know how harrowing it is, and I know how strong you have to be to come through it and to stay on the right path. So again, congratulations, legend. Awesome.
Yeah, and I've lost so many of my friends. I've done the same. I've been to hospital after hospital, so many visits. I mean, so many people, so many faces flash before my mind right now when I think of how many times that, yes, I was sober, but I got that call that one of my friends is in the hospital and it's not looking good. And then I go and sit for days, and no amount of praying saved those guys. They kept going down the path that I was on, and they're gone now. So. Yeah.
Another thing that you were talking about, or kind of hinting about, a couple of coinciding things that are causes that I find to be very important as well: mental health and helping others, or charitable work, or any kind of positive charitable causes. So you've dabbled in both of those subjects. Elaborate. You're going to be able to tell the story better than I am about your journey. Especially, I think you've done things for Black Lives Matter too, and haven't you as well?
Well, I just support it, and it's something that I'm just, you know, I know that it's out there. I've seen it. I've traveled all over the world, and especially in the United States. I see it, and you know, I'm offended, I think, as much as, you know, as anybody else when it comes to racism, you know. And it's not a touchy subject to me. I grew up, you know, you want to talk about heroes. I mean, my biggest heroes were Michael Jackson, Prince, you know what I mean? Every sports guy that I've ever looked up to has been Black. You know, I go to out in Hollywood and daily, you know, I see literally 40 to 50 to, gosh, sometimes 100 of my Black friends I see daily. I mean, I go to this spot, The Secret, down here, and we hang every single night. I mean, that's really my go-to place lately. Last night, Usher was over there, you know? But it's like, I'm just inspired by people for what they do. And you know, it's not till somebody points it out to me that, you know, like, look at Slash, like, fuck, what an amazing guy. I mean, I don't see him as black until you point it out, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, yeah, he's badass, and that black makes him even more badass. So
there are a lot of legends that a lot of people, rock legends, a lot of major guitarists that a lot of people are like, oh, their white privilege is showing. I'm like, no,
yeah,
they're black. Tom Morello's black, Slash is black.
Hendrix,
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, Carla Harvey. Carla Harvey, who's on our next, in our next video and features on our track. She's black, baddest woman I probably know. She's such a badass. So I don't know. I just have a huge respect, and more so for the Black Lives Matter. I don't think Floyd died in vain. I think that this has brought an awareness to the subject that, like, I think now it's more profound than it ever has been. I think it's a topic that, like, you know, there's no, at least in my mind, there's no doubt. And I think it's brought us together as a community, as a people. Was that a dog? I missed that. What was that? Yeah?
She's begging for attention. Hang on.
Yeah.
This is
Tissa. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. Yeah. And as important as human beings are, so are, I've been a part of this thing, there's Smiley the dog, who's the spokes dog for the USPCA. My friend Megan Swartz heads that thing up. We've done flash mobs for animals. Over the last 2 years, I've taken a strict course towards veganism. I haven't completely pulled it off yet. I still love cheese and stuff, and I that's the one thing I can't break away from. So
there's a lot of really good replacements out there.
There are, and my
the diet stuff. That stuff is good too. So
yeah, my vegan friends are not letting me get away with it. They bombard me with, like, you know, the apps to get the stuff delivered to my house, and it's like I'm just lazy at this point. But I will get there. I've still been, you know, I've gone as far as pescatarian. I haven't had any pigs or any cows or you know, any. You know, for a couple of years now, I think. So I'm doing pretty good, and I know I'm going to get there. And every time I talk about it, I guess now I have to put myself to it, because now I've put it out there, so people are going to pay attention. But Colin Reed, who used to be in Budderside, was a vegan, and him being next to me every single day, even on a tour bus, would sacrifice all the meals that we had for, like, a peanut butter sandwich or whatever. So it can be done. So animals are super important. I love taking up that. I'll put on that crown anytime and try to be the king of all of that. I also took on a huge, worship became a huge thing for me. I led worship at my church for 3 years. I went out to the convalescent homes and played acoustic guitars in the name of God for all of these people. So huge, like, it just character building things that, like, now I can't even imagine how I would find the time for it. But when, you know, when somebody reaches out, it's again, being sober enables you to kind of, like, you can, if somebody reaches out or somebody's in need, sometimes they don't even need to ask. You're just tuned into, like, what do other people need? How can I be selfless today? How can I help somebody else? And then at the end of the day, you kind of realize that other things that you've wanted, they just kind of fall into place, because, you know, worrying about things doesn't help anyway. So focusing on all your own shit is just going to get you absorbed in all your own shit, and nobody wants to be a part of your shit. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Yeah, giving is where, I mean, there are probably quite a few people on the planet that will say I am the villain in their story. You know what I mean? I've also learned in the last year that don't be afraid to be a freaking complete and total bastard to some people. You know what I mean? In the moment, they deserve it, and hopefully in the big scheme of things, that's some lesson for them. Not that I'm the teacher, that the universe is the teacher, but I like to think that even when I'm a complete and total piece of shit to somebody, that I was put in their life to be that for a reason, and hopefully that serves the greater good.
So we were talking a little bit before I started recording about musicality. Budderside is just chock full of wonderful musicians. Can you elaborate a bit more about I want to know more about your band. Just lay it on me.
My favorite thing to talk about. They're my 4 favorite people on the planet. As people, I mean, they're, you know, all of the good things that I can say about myself, I can say about them as well. They're just really great guys. But musicality, above all, the main reason that we're doing this, the main reason that they were chosen for this position is because they're the best of the best. You know what I mean? I mean, Gabe Maska could literally sit on stage with Flea and do a bass off, and I guarantee you both of them will have the time of their lives, you know? Sam Bam Colton is probably the most epic and influential guitar player of our time. I think he's going to live on to be one of the biggest legends in rock and roll that ever were. And I knew that the moment that I first saw him. He's just so freaking great. He's just so great. It's like, he just comes up with these sounds. It's just like, and it's not this noodling kind of stuff. You know what I mean? He's just my favorite style. He's everything I've ever wanted in a guitar player. You give him enough room to do his thing, and it feels like you stepped onto a spaceship and you're off at, you know, in light speed. It's just like you're traveling through space, like on some journey with him. If you let him take the wheel, you're gone. And that's an amazing thing, you know, and to have him hold back, like I'm singing, like, and he could be doing that. Like, I better come up with some good shit if I'm making him wait for his spotlight, because, you know, he could just play the whole time. They don't need me. That's the thing. Gabe, Logan, Jeff, and Sam, they do this Nirvana tribute called Kurt Cobain without me. I'm jealous because they sound just like Nirvana. Gabe can sing just like Kurt. You know, that doesn't stop there. I mean, they can bust into Guns N' Roses songs and whatever else. And again, they don't need me. Gabe sings just as good as I do. Each member in the group is just so freaking great, and that's what I've always wanted. You want to put yourself in a group where, like, you're the weakest link, you know? And maybe they don't think so, but to me, it's like it makes me step up and become the best musician I possibly could be. Logan is just Logan just got this character to him, like, you know, every time, like, we just worked with Matt Good, and he's this producer that, like, he's just got attitude about him that, like, if it's even the slightest bit of lame, you don't print it, you know, you don't record it. Like, it's got to be amazing, or else he's not going to put his name on it. And Logan's that same way, and he's just as good as Sam on the guitar. He can keep up. He's just, for some reason, they have this dynamic between the two of them, and maybe there's some kind of agreement I don't know about, but, like, Logan just holds it down for us. He's really a rhythm player, and it's not until I go, hey, give the guy a goddamn lead right here, and then he takes it and he just shreds. He's just such a shredder. They both went to school together at MI, so they've got all of that knowledge and wisdom in them. So it's like, if you're looking for the right harmony or you want to strike the right chord, everything is available to us to pick from. And Jeff Dubray is just like, I don't know how to describe him. He's like Dave Grohl and like Ashton Kutcher, like slammed into one. He's just like super positive dude. I mean, there's nothing he can't do on the drums. He's just so freaking sexy. You know what I mean? He's just like, and all the, you know, girls just must be so jealous of his, you know, his Rebe, wonderful Rebe at home. She's such a wonderful person. They're just all just such wonderful people. Val too. They've all got people that support them, and it's a team. It's like, it's beyond the band members too, their wives, their girlfriends. It's just this family that we've developed. We all live super close to each other, so we can get together whenever we want. We're always there for one another in any capacity. Like, it's just like, if you want to talk about this or plan that, you know, we're going up to Lake Tahoe this weekend to film a new video for our new album that we'll have coming out after Spiritual Violence. And it's just like, the plan is just ruthless. You know, there's going to be hiking in the snow and whatever else. And it's just like the conversations back and forth on our messages, our threads. It's just like, come on, you know, each of us just pushing each other's buttons to sacrifice anything we need to for our art. And it's going to show. It's showing now. It's just beautiful to have these guys. They're just a dream come true. And I'm just so blessed and thankful that I'm a part of this band.
Can you give your UK as well as your US, your international audience, an idea of what to expect when they pop in your tunes or click that button on Spotify or go ahead and Apple Play it? What can they expect? What sound profile can they expect?
It's kind of a mix. This not a miss, a mix. This album really landed. It's funny because Budderside is evolving at a pace that's it's something I didn't foresee. It's something I thought I had figured out, but it turns out that it's something that's figuring out itself. Like it's kind of explaining itself to us as we go. And the new record is the same in that respect, that we're evolving past what we're at now. But Spiritual Violence lands us in kind of like again, with Jay Baumgartner coming in, his influence, we landed somewhere between grunge. There's a taste of that sleaze rock to it because of my past and everybody's respect for like that, the classic rock and everything else, but definitely a step further into the 90s sound, but still with this definite modern day twinge to it. We had a lot of synthesizer work and stuff like that, but again, there's a symphony. There's my friends from that play violins and cellos on it. There's we have piano. There's the music, a children's choir is on it. So you've got this hard mix of so many different things coming at you, but I think it definitely lands in like an alternative rock, grunge metal, like kind of a space. But the whole album is kind of this. It's like a book, It's one chapter after the next. It's really intertwined and connected to one another. It's a huge group of lessons that were learned over a certain span of time and focused on for this album. So lyrically, you're taken on a journey. You have a lot explained to you about my heart and soul, about life, in which I hope that people can reflect and can relate to. So beyond like some kind of genre specific place, I think that it's really a place that you can find. The music will really, hopefully, if you let it in, it's something you'll find that takes a place in your heart and helps you evolve as a person and become, more awake to what's going on around us and what's going on inside us as well.
So this has been one of the best half hours. I could go on forever. This is so much fun. I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that you want to make sure to touch base on, anything that you want to leave us with, an anecdote, a story, anything, just drop it on us.
As far as like marketing or whatever, it's like pitching everything. I just beg everybody to please go and check out our videos. I think that's the best place to start because we really pour our heart and souls into the video. We went all the way to Japan to film one. Just visited 4 different ghosts in that video. There's homage to Lemmy himself. Completely animated spectacle, which takes you on the journey of me meeting Lemmy, being taken in and losing him, but being given that clout to carry on the Motorhead name with their label, and we take the stage in that name. So that video is again just a really cool journey, and it's fun to watch. The Wide Awake video we just put out a couple of weeks ago, or at the beginning of the month. A spiritual journey back and just full balls to the wall, high energy rock and roll, a vulgar display of what the band looks like and sounds like. The guys just freaking out. We're just like running around this zoo acting like a bunch of nuts. So please watch that. It's so much fun. And the forthcoming video that comes out this Friday featuring, the video, pardon me, that came out, the animated one, Phil Campbell from Motorhead guests on that. So the guitar playing in that is Phil. So check that out for that reason too. And then the video this Friday coming out, Amber Alert, just a super sexy, crazy, mad dance through a circus with Carla Harvey on vocals with me is just so incredible. So that's what I urge you. I mean, that's what our life is about. Our life work is pumped into these videos. The lyrics and the music are all encompassed in that. So if you can take a walk on the wild side with us, please check out those videos. No real tour plans. Everything keeps getting pushed back, but we do have Rocklahoma in the fall, and I'm sure a huge US tour will ensue around that. There's talk of Europe in November. We're still on the books for Japan, I think, in December. So please just catch us when we're out there. Look for us. We're on Spotify. We're on every platform. So just come visit us, message us. I'm dying to talk to you. I'm at the end of every DM. So I will talk to you no matter who you are. I love talking to everybody out there who has any interest. I have interest in you. So let's talk. Let's connect.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. Again, I am Rocktavia Rose with Rock News UK. I am the US correspondent, and I am finishing up here with Patrick Stone of Budderside. So again, yes, please do all your music platforms, YouTube, check out everything that they have to offer you. You won't be disappointed. Thanks so much, Patrick.
Rocktavia, God bless you. Thank you so much. Take care.